listening to the home of cool, irreverent, and entertaining talk, right here on LA Talk Radio. You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to The Art of Love. My name is Lucia. I'm your host and a dating and relationship expert, and I'm here to entertain, educate, and enlighten you about love, dating, and relationships. Take your live calls, answer your emails, and speak to authors of books which I find interesting. And I can promise you today is going to be a great show because the guest I have on, I've actually had him on before, and he's the only guest I've ever had on before. That wasn't a personal friend of mine. And we're going to be talking about something that I know women and probably men will be interested in, and that is something called sexual radiance. So let me bring him on. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Lucia.
That rhymes. Here we are again.
Here we are again. And I actually pronounced your name properly this time.
Yes, the second time around it worked out. Yeah.
Second time. Well, I've been practicing for 6 months. You yelled at me so horrendously last time. I felt really bad.
And you are the only person I've ever had on twice. So what does that tell you?
Wow.
I know.
Well, you're telling me before about something about exes, like once you're done, like you just never go back. But you actually went back with me. So that makes you feel real special.
That's right. I don't usually go back, but we can talk about that later. So,
wow.
Let me give you a...
Although every girl tells me that, I'm different, I'm special, I'm the only guy they've ever done this with. I hear that a lot, so it's hard for me to really believe that, but I'll try to take your word for it.
Right. You know how girls are. Okay, so let me give you a proper introduction. So Jay Cataldo is
proper introduction.
That's right. Author, life coach who specializes in facilitating quick and permanent changes for his clientele, and he's also my future ex-husband.
Ooh, that is a proper introduction.
I know. So... Well,
we better hurry up and get married now because I'm getting to the point where pretty soon I'm actually going to be too old for you, I think.
Right.
So I think we should marry now and divorce, otherwise it may never happen.
Yes, well, we'll get to know each other.
By the way, where's your cutoff age again? Did we discuss this last time?
I don't remember.
Is it 25, 26?
No, everyone thinks that... No, actually, you know what? I don't have a cutoff age. Well... maybe 50, maybe 45. But, if there's an affinity there, if you're vibing and if you feel the other person, then it really doesn't matter. It's just that usually I find that the people that I get along with tend to be much younger.
That.
Yeah.
Sure, like 16, 17, absolutely. I agree.
Right.
They're fantastic.
Not that young.
But we have an affinity, though, so that makes me feel good. That means... I may actually have a chance to be your future ex-husband.
Yes, and you would...
Okay, cool. My days just keeps getting better and better today. It's fantastic.
And you're willing to move to L.A.? Because I'm not moving to New York. Oh,
wow.
Silence.
Here's the thing. I'll make a little bit of relationship advice. Make sure you have the guy to some extent before you start making demands. You know what I mean? Like you're now you're on probation. I don't know about that.
Oh, but why waste time?
I may consider moving for you though. LA is beautiful.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk about your kind of CD, but it's an MP3 about sexual radiance. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what it is that you've just done with the sexual radiance.
Well, before I tell you what it is, I have to tell you the backstory behind all this, how this all happened. Last time I was on your show, we talked about, one of the major things I do is my get your girl back coaching. Well, you actually get your partner back coaching. I coach women, I coach gays, lesbians, the whole nine. And what's interesting, today NBC actually contacted me,
Wow.
and they're thinking about possibly doing a reality show on the concept, which is really, really cool. So, I mean, who knows if it's going to go anywhere, but I had to make a demo today and at my office, and the Gay Pride Parade was actually right next door. And so I'm, walking through the parade, and I'm looking at all these, lesbians, and I don't know, I just started picturing what you would look like if you were a lesbian and how the setting matters. Anyway, so let's move on from that. Let's talk about my fantasies. So one of the major things I do is I do a lot of dating coaching. So, I help people get their, exes back. And what typically happens is, they'll get them back, and if they don't change their behaviors to figure out what they did wrong to begin with, they end up losing them again in 2-3 weeks' time. All right? So I do a lot of coaching now, especially with women who, because a lot of women, I'm sure you know this, right? A lot of women can attract men, no problem, but they may have trouble keeping them for the long term. Okay, and really what this comes down to, there's really three major components to this that I've discovered. Three big ones anyway. The first one is you have to be good in bed. Okay, I'm sorry. Sex is such a huge part of relationships. I mean, and I guess you can find a guy who's not that sexual and get away with it, but for the most part, especially like you cougars out there, I mean, these young boys, they want you to show them what's up. All right, they're looking for some fun. They want an experienced woman that is very confident and sexy and really knows the ropes.
Right.
And the second thing, you have to be not only confident, but you have to have a very high level of self-esteem and self-worth. And first of all, obviously, confidence will empower you in the bedroom. It'll allow you to develop those sexual skills, feel open with your body, everything else. And the self-esteem is going to prevent you from staying in the situation when it's time to move on. For instance, if the guy's just messing around with you, if he's not taking you seriously, if he's abusing you in any way, shape, or form, you need to be able to leave. Otherwise, the guy's going to lose respect for you, lose attraction for you, and then he's going to leave you.
Right.
Okay? And the third thing is just, very simply knowing what it means to be a good girlfriend. All right, well, how do you, be a good girlfriend? It's simple stuff, making the guy feel good, knowing how to actually figure out what it is your man enjoys, what's important to him in a relationship, what are his, major no-nos, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, these women come to me, we tend to work on all three of these things, but one of the major issues for most women tends to be their sexuality. For most girls. And I know you don't have that problem. Oh, God.
How do you know?
But most, I know, and I won't tell your audience how I know. We'll just let them wonder how I know. But I know. And, so unfortunately, as a life coach and a dating coach, I mean, there's only so much I can do for my clients in the realm of, helping them with their sexuality. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise, you're just really walking a fine line between just being
Yes.
Anyway, so this is pretty much how sexual radiance started to come about. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what can I really do to help women get to that place inside of where they can unleash their inner sexual, power, that core sexual energy that's inside of every woman on the planet. And, it's shut down because of past experiences, guilt, poor body image, all these different things which we'll cover in a second. So the biggest reason that I found why women have issues with their sexuality and whatnot, even just issues in general in relationships, it really comes down to faulty subconscious programming. Okay, so, very simply, you have a conscious mind, you have an unconscious mind. Your conscious mind, thinks it runs the show. It thinks it's so intelligent, tries to remember things. It tells you, okay, we're going to use willpower to stay stick on this diet or whatnot, while your unconscious mind beats your heart, tells you when to breathe, makes you, give up that diet after 2 weeks, puts willpower to shame. It seems like it's almost working against you in every area of your life where you're not getting what you want. And the reason for that simply is your unconscious mind is like in your case, it's like a really bright 9-year-old girl. Okay, it's like a 9-year-old child. So while, 9-year-old girl, 8-year-old girl may see, mommy weeding the rose garden, and she wants to run over and help mommy, she may start ripping out the roses, right? Not knowing, her intentions are good, or just not knowing that you're not supposed to do that. Well, maybe not a 9-year-old kid. I mean, hopefully a 9-year-old kid will know not to rip the roses to that, but you understand what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So when the subconscious and the conscious mind are in disalignment, the unconscious mind or subconscious mind will always win out every single time. Now, if you get into a situation when you're young, where you have a bad sexual experience, God forbid there's any type of childhood sexual abuse, or just whatever imprints happen to you in your first, learning about sexuality growing up, and or seeing other people have sex possibly, or whatever it is, if those imprints get inside your subconscious mind, they will tend to act out against your will for the duration of your life. And then when you start getting older and you're like, hey, well, I just keep having these patterns. I keep doing the same things over and over again. Well, that's why. And you can't change them because, just like it's hard to use willpower to stick to a diet because your unconscious mind says, no, we don't want to go on a diet. Like, change that. Mm-hmm. So it keeps you doing the same thing. In the same way, your sexual habits, your sexual patterns, all these different things, the way you feel about sex are going to stay relatively constant if you don't really work on fixing that programming. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So
okay.
That's the background.
Basically, a lot of people, one of the big things now is like the whole law of attraction thing. Like the Secret was really popular and whatnot, and it's all fantastic. And what this stuff does, it's just a different way of trying to reprogram the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. Okay, so instead of when you think about all the things you don't have, let's say, I don't have the perfect guy, or I don't have enough money, or I don't have the car I want. The secret of law of attraction says, well, if you keep focusing on that stuff, what you're doing is you're programming in a sense of lack into your brain. And whatever gets programmed in, your brain's like a computer, right? Whether you stick in Microsoft Word or you stick in a virus, the computer doesn't talk back. It's going to give you exactly what you tell it to put out. So if you're focusing on the lack of things, then you're going to get more of what you lack. But if instead you start, visualizing and imagining and feeling the emotions that you would have when you get the things that you want, you're programming your mind to start attracting those things into your life. Okay, so, of course there's faster ways of going about it, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, or some other techniques like that. The law of attraction stuff is definitely very powerful. However, for a lot of women, it doesn't work in a lot of areas. I'm not sure if you've done any of that stuff in the past. But if it hasn't worked for you, there's a major reason why. It's because, again, your subconscious mind is not aligned with those desires. So it's kind of like, why affirmations really don't work. You look in the mirror and say, say you want to lose 30 pounds, and you're like, I'm beautiful, I'm at my ideal weight, I'm perfect, I'm special every way. But deep down, you don't believe it.
Right.
The back of your mind's going, okay, yeah, BS. No, you're not. Look at that muffin top. Get back in the gym. And what do? You just knock all that programming out. It did not get a chance to get into the subconscious mind, so your subconscious mind will not act on it. Okay? So you need to have, in order to change the programming, you need to have the proper techniques to get the suggestions, to get the ideas inside the subconscious mind, where the subconscious mind will then act on them and create them just the same way it beats your heart and tells you when to breathe and digest your food. Okay? You want to set it up to be an automatic process. So the biggest reason why people do not have what they want is simply because there's a disconnect between their subconscious mind and their conscious mind. So unfortunately, your conscious mind, picture like, a game of tug of war. Okay, if you're, picture a 4-year-old kid on the side of your conscious mind, and on, the other side, your subconscious mind is a dump truck. All right, well, the dump truck's going to win every single time. It's just the way it is. So in order to get what you want, you need to get inside the dump truck, turn it around, and make it go in the direction that you want it to go. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And how do we do that?
So, great question. Well, the first thing is this isn't the issue for everyone. But I found there's 3 big clues when it comes to discovering whether or not your subconscious mind is working against you in terms of your, in terms of your sexuality and sexual issues. Okay, so the first clue is that you're not entirely happy with your body, and this is a big one, not just for women, but for guys too. Okay, especially all the crap they feed us in the media and whatnot. We're never pretty enough, we're never skinny enough, we're never, guys aren't muscular enough. It's always an issue, always a problem. And with all the photoshopping going on, it just gets even worse, right? But the problem with poor body image, it lowers, not only does it lower your vibration, we don't use like, the law of attraction language. They say your vibration is like the, I guess you can just, whatever you're focusing on, if you're focusing on positive stuff, you're going to have a positive vibe most of the time. All right? If you're focusing on negative things, you're going to have a negative vibe. And obviously you walk into a place and, say you walk into like a bar and there's like horrendously depressing news on TV. People that are sensitive to it they can feel it. They just walk in, they didn't see what's on TV, but they just feel this negative, like kind of vibe in the bar, right? Because everyone's watching TV, everyone's feeling negative, right?
Right.
At the same time, when you're around someone who's positive and energetic and uplifting, and especially a woman who's just sexy and confident and just radiates this inner beauty, it's magnetic, right? There's just even if she's not in your physical type, there's just something about her that calls to you, and you will gravitate towards her. I mean, I've seen, speaking of muffin tops, to share something a little, something I probably shouldn't say, a little
Go
secret.
ahead.
I mean, the girl I'm dating now, she's very petite. She's probably, 5'2", 105 pounds. But, occasionally I'll see a woman who is, definitely not the, standard of beauty that we have by any means. A girl with, rocking a little bit of a muffin top. And sometimes I find it incredibly sexy.
Wow.
And I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that feel the same way. Okay, so it's not just your physical body. I mean, look, most models who, work out religiously and, they get tons of plastic surgery, they eat nothing to maintain this perfect body image, most of them are so insecure, it's ridiculous, because they're always looking for the most minute flaws possible, especially in L.A.
Yes.
You know how it is out there.
I know.
Right? So, and what happens is when you're focusing on your flaws 24/7, even though you may be as close to, physical perfection as possible, you may not be as attractive to the men that you want simply because you're literally radiating this inner disgust for yourself. Does that make sense? And again, it's very subtle, but there's definitely something there. Of course, some guys just won't care. Oh gosh, she looks beautiful and that's great, but a guy that who's really in tune with himself, he's not going to want to be with a girl who hates herself or is just disgusted with herself.
Right.
So anyway. There's actually believe it or not, there's something called the Meston Sexual Psychophysiology Lab. Say that 10 times fast. Okay, so there's this lab, and they do some kind of sexual experiments, and sign me up.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they did a study, and they found women that have poor body images, on average, tend to have low sex drives, problems becoming aroused, and difficulty achieving orgasm. Interesting. And that's literally nothing more than just not really being happy with the body. So, and it's not crazy to be, I'm just, I got to lose 5 or 10 pounds, or I'm just, or I don't like, my butt, or whatever it is. And those thoughts, as, innocuous and just neutral almost as they seem, are actually affecting a woman's sexuality in a very, very powerful way. Okay? So, the next clue is, what is the next clue? Oh,
I didn't write it down.
If you don't feel like, I'm all over. I'm just thinking about those pictures I saw you last night. Anyway, so you may not feel like you're entirely worthy of finding real love, okay? And this is a major, major problem. A lot of women have deservingness issues. And a lot of, some of it stems from the body. They think, well, because I don't have the perfect body. Well, because I'm too old now. Oh, my God, I hit 35. I was supposed to be married when I was 30. So that means that's it. I'll never find Mr. Big, right? Like all this BS. But when you feed this stuff to yourself, you actually diminish the chances of getting what you want and increase the chances of giving yourself what you fear the most. And, this is very, very common with women who either had negative experiences with men in the past, bad breakups, abusive boyfriends, sometimes just, difficult childhoods or abuse, back in the day, father abused them or uncle or something, and they have a twisted view of what it means to be loved. They equate love with pain or rejection or all this kind of stuff because they were getting those negative imprints as a child, okay? So the third one is you don't feel fully sexually confident. Okay, so let's take a look in history, throughout history. Marilyn Monroe, Angelina Jolie, like all the biggest sex symbols of our day. I mean, again, I don't know. Like, to me, Angelina Jolie is really not that attractive. I hate to say it, but she's not.
Yeah,
but there is something about her. Well, maybe I know you wouldn't want to hook up with her, but it's not really not my taste. But there's definitely something about her that just radiates this beauty, this just powerful, confident sexuality. That makes her stand out from everyone else. I mean, you put her in, like, again, if no one knows who she was, and you stick her in a, maybe even now, maybe 5-10 years ago, stick her in a lineup with like 10 different supermodels, she will still stand out. So what is it? It's not just her physical beauty. There's something underneath that. These women are radiating something very, very powerfully, and to me, I really don't know exactly what it is. I'm assuming it's something with their core sexual energy. There's pretty much all, look at this, spiritual texts and whatnot, pretty much all spiritual teachers will say that all energy starts off as sexual energy. I mean, that's the core energy in our body. It gets transmuted and transformed into different things. You can transform sexual energy into different types of energy. You can use it for, concentration and manifestation, whatever it is. But at the root of everything is sex. And again, it's one of the reasons why, not to get all conspiracy theory-ish, but, one of the reasons why we're so guilt-ridden and we're so, feel so shameful about our sexuality is because that's the easiest way to control someone, to make them feel embarrassed or shameful of the most deepest part of who they are as a human being. It's very, very horrendous. So anyway, when a woman is cut off from that part of herself because of guilt, shame, or poor body image, she will literally be perceived by the rest of the world as being much less attractive than she really is. And it's terrible. I mean, on an energetic level, it's like showing up for a date in like ratty sweatpants, without, brushing your teeth or taking a shower. All right? And obviously, if your date went home to feed his goldfish, you're not going to be surprised. So energetically, we need you to be just as fresh, beautiful, sparkling, and crystal clean as you would be in real life. And it's very, very important. And a lot of women don't, I think, understand the importance of making sure that their inner beauty matches their outer beauty.
Right.
Okay? So again, if you have any issues with your sexuality, you're going to have trouble tapping into the powerful energy source that's at your core, and you're not going to be able to reach your full attractiveness potential. Okay? And this is why I think, shows like Sex and the City are so popular, right? Because there's so much guilt and shame and oh my God, if you hook up with, this guy on the second date, you're a, SLUT and da-da-da-da, like all this horrible stuff. So when these shows come out that show women being like sexually free and open and still succeeding and getting what they want in spite of it, women love that. Women, they vibrate with that. They radiate with that. It really touches them on a deep emotional level because that's the way it should be. Okay, that's the way it needs to be. And again, in our society, it's difficult to do that. However, you can pull yourself away from that societal programming by working on programming yourself with stuff that's actually useful, and that's going to help you become more confident and just more in love with yourself. And that's huge. Now, here's the other thing. If you have a issue with confidence in the bedroom, you may also have a hard time satisfying your man. And again, this is true. Like I said, the number one thing is really it's sex and relationships. Okay, like when you have sex, I think there's a famous quote like when the sex is good, it's like 20% important. When it's bad, it's like 80% important. Right? You ever hear that one?
Yeah.
And it's so true. Now, here's the thing: you don't have to be a porn star to satisfy a guy in bed. However, a big part of a man's self-worth comes from his ability to satisfy his woman. Okay, so while you don't have to be a porn star, do all this crazy stuff, you have to be able to really enjoy sex to the point where your man feels like he's doing a really good job and making you feel good.
You got to be into it.
Okay, and here's the thing. So if you, for instance, let's say you have trouble reaching orgasm. Okay, obviously, maybe so some women have it real easy. They can just at the drop of a hat, bam, bam, bam. So let's say your guy was with a girl like that. Now he's with you, and for whatever reason you have difficulty, or it takes you a little longer, or you just have a different style. You need a lot of foreplay, you need a lot of emotional connection to get to that level. And he doesn't exactly know how to unleash that inside you yet. But what's going to happen? He's going to think, based on his past experiences, that there's something wrong with him. Like, he just can't figure it out with you. Some guys will, with their ego say, oh, it's her, you're all messed up. I'm the king stud. But a lot of guys will feel like, they'll just feel rejected. They'll feel like, what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? Like, right. you don't love me. I'm not hot enough for you. And he's going to start to feel like a failure. Mm-hmm. Now, when a guy starts to feel like a failure in the bedroom, you have problems. Uh-huh. Because this is when he starts to look for other women. And maybe not even to have sex with, but just other women just, flirting and whatnot to make him feel desirable again, make him feel sexy again, right? It's just like, when a man you're in a relationship with stops appreciating you, when he just has sex with you and barely connects, he just, doggy style or whatnot. 1, 2, 3, he's done, he's watching the game, doesn't take you out anymore for nights at a town, doesn't want to hang out with you, doesn't communicate. What happens? You feel disconnected. You feel unloved. You feel undesirable. So what do? You want to run out and you want to find some other guy to make you feel good again. And women don't do this consciously, but unconsciously you may find yourself flirting with some guy, maybe the guy at Starbucks or whatnot, just to feel like you have it again, just to feel like, okay, you are sexy. You know what I mean? Because the guy you love, you want to have that love and attention from, you're not getting it, and you start to feel bad about yourself. Okay, so men feel the same thing, believe it or not. And one of the major reasons why they cheat, it's not so much about finding a new shiny object to play with. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's about finding someone who makes you feel good about yourself. Okay, someone that makes you feel sexy, someone that makes you feel confident in the bedroom, and someone who enjoys the pleasure and the things that you do for them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you can't make your man feel that way, and it's not that difficult, but you have to go first. Because if you don't, he's going to start thinking about getting it from somewhere else. Again, unless sex isn't that important to him, there's a lot of people who just don't care that much about sex. But I think that's a hard way to live. Yeah. And I think if you really don't care much about sex, you probably shut that part off of you on purpose because of disappointment or shame or whatever it is. And if you open that part back up, you're going to have a much healthier and happier life. Absolutely, in almost every case. And even if you, God forbid, you did have some kind of sexual abuse, it pays to go through the small amount of pain you're going to go through in therapy and whatnot to get over it in order to get that amazing amount of pleasure that you're going to have later on. Okay, so important. So anyway, the pattern here is that the strength and speed of your vibration is actually determined by how you feel about yourself on a deep level. And this is why, you can there's nothing wrong with dieting, change your hairstyle, buying new clothes, all that kind of stuff. But on a deep, deep level, those things are not being addressed. Okay, you can mask it. You can wear the most amazing perfume and have these beautiful hair extensions and incredible makeup. But deep down underneath the surface, that stuff will come out eventually. Okay, so the most important thing you can do, I feel, is working to reprogram yourself for sexual success. Getting to the point where you're confident, you're radiating inner beauty, inner love. You're not going to get to a point where you're completely 100% in love with yourself. But we all have flaws. You'll have things about ourselves we're not happy with and whatnot, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when those things become obsessions. I actually dated a girl about a year and a half ago. A beautiful, beautiful girl, like stunningly beautiful. She was about 31 years old. And, I can tell by looking at her, she had, a little bit of work done, boobs and, she had her nose and or whatnot. But I didn't realize the extent of it. And probably about 2 or 3 weeks into it, she started telling me that she literally had like 14 different, surgeries done.
Heidi Montana.
And, this was probably in the same day. And this wasn't in the L.A. This is in New Jersey, actually. But anyway, so it was just really disturbing. Why? How bad did this woman really look before that?
Yeah,
she had to do it, but really she was a very attractive girl before. But she had something in her mind that she was flawed. And she, even after 14 plastic surgeries, she wasn't stopping. She burned through like all of her money. She had some money from an accident when she was a kid or something, went through to over $100,000, and still trying to figure out how to get more money for more surgeries.
Wow.
So it's like it became a sickness. It became like I am flawed until I have all these things done, then I will be perfect. And that's a horrible way to live because the second you get to that level, you're just going to find something else you hate about yourself.
So how long
the goal is not to get to the point.
How long did you date her for then?
After that, it kind of trickled off pretty fast. And, again, you don't really know someone. You know how it is for, maybe at least a month or so, and you really start seeing who they really are. Like when you first meet someone, it's like your age, you meet their age. You know what I mean? Like you're on your best behavior. You see what you want to see. You show what you want to show them. And when you start really, figuring out, oh my God, this is not a good person for me, I recommend that you all run and end it immediately.
Hit the road
before it gets too deep, because there's just not enough time to waste time with someone who's not good for you.
Right.
So I would say it's probably like six weeks total, and then that was that.
Yeah.
She just wasn't. I wish her all the best. She just wasn't the right girl for me.
Obviously.
So, but yeah, any sugar daddies out there that want to fund her plastic surgery project, I can definitely give you her phone number.
for a cut.
Okay, so now, so now let's talk about, like you said before, how do we fix this problem? Okay, how do you fix it? Well, there's a number of different ways to do it. And if we're going to talk about, let's say, the law of attraction stuff, law of attraction definitely works, and it's a mix of, this like spiritual kind of like, I'm just open to the gifts of the universe, almost like new agey, airy-fairy, but also mixed in with some cognitive, psychology that works very, very well, which is essentially, you focus on what you want, and whatever is, whatever you don't want, or whatever is detrimental to the path that you're on, you just take your attention off it. And when it pops up, you just stop giving conscious attention to the things that you don't want to have in your life. Okay? If it's a negative thing that has to be addressed, then you think about it. And you say, okay, how do I fix this problem? How do I address it? How do I solve it? You think about it, solve the problem, you forget it. But most people have this tendency to just worry nonstop about everything. Well, oh my God, 9/11. Now it's the Gulf of Mexico. Oh my God. Well, look, I'm sorry. Unless you work for BP or you're, some activist, like there's really no point to really focus on it. You can think about it maybe 15 minutes a day. You can sympathize with the poor people down there and these idiots that just can't seem to solve the problem, get angry at them. But if you're thinking about this 5-10 hours a day, well, you're just damaging your own life. You're destroying your own productivity. You know what I mean? So, productive people, very successful people, know they need to cut their thinking patterns off and figure out if you're focusing on something that has no resolution, that you can't control, you just stop it, or you just cut that to a bare minimum. And you focus on things you have control over. Okay, otherwise you're literally just wasting years of your life stuck inside your head about dumb stuff. And then what the end result, nothing happens except to make yourself miserable. Okay, so 3 keys let's cover now to succeeding with this process, the reprogramming process. Okay? First key is you need to be incredibly disciplined. All right, for instance, law of attraction stuff, you manifest stuff. How do you manifest stuff? They say, well, every day you close your eyes, you think about all the stuff that you don't have that you really want, and you focus on it. You imagine it coming into your life. You imagine the feelings you're going to have when you have that, and you express a sense of gratitude and a sense of expectation. Like you're happy with where you're at, even though it's not, where you want to be, because you know that check's in the mail. You know it's coming, and you're going to be patient. You know it's on the way. Okay, no problem. But every day you keep thinking about it, and you keep imagining how great it's going to be when it finally gets in the mail, arrives in your mailbox. You can cash it and go buy that great stuff that you want. Okay? But the problem is, it takes a long time to see results. Okay, a long time. And, all the gurus want to make you believe, look, all you have to do is just, sit and close your eyes, just, visualize for 30 seconds, and then you go about your day. But the problem is, look, number one, you're fighting against, 40, 50 years sometimes of negative programming. You know what I mean? And, Chia, in your case, is only, what are you, 22 now? So 22 years negative programming. But for most people, it's just years and years and years and years of negativity. On top of that, for every 30 seconds that most people spend visualizing positive stuff, the other, 23 hours and 50 some odd minutes, they're thinking about negative stuff over and over again. They're not paying attention to all the junk that they're thinking about the rest of the day. All right, so you have you have the 2 jugs, 2 big pails on a seesaw, and on one side you put 1 penny, and every time you put a penny on one side, you're putting a whole stack of quarters on the other side. What's going to happen? All right, I mean, how many pennies you put in the jar on the left, it's never going to topple over the other jar. So you got to be really, really careful, and that's actually key number 2. You have to constantly watch your thoughts. and be aware of these negative thought patterns. Okay, because, like I said, taking 2 steps backwards, every step forward, is going to get you nowhere fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The third key is you need to get your emotions involved. And when it comes down to, it's actually becoming a law of attraction seminar.
I know,
should charge for this. But the third key is when it comes to the law of attraction stuff, when people, one big step they forget to tell you is that your emotions are like the rocket fuel for manifesting what you want. Okay, you have to get your emotions involved. And again, there's this, like I said, all energy is sexual. It starts off as sexual, but it gets transmuted into different things. So when you have an emotion, that is, well, cheesy, but emotion is energy in motion, right? So it's a form of energy. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So when you're visualizing, let's say, the beautiful yacht you're going to have, next year, you want to actually feel what it's going to feel like when you have that yacht. And when you visualize, you really ramp up those emotions, get the emotions in your body. Okay, for instance, if you're going to visualize, with sexual issues, how amazing it's going to feel when you're completely free and you're completely open and confident in the bedroom, and you're not trying to, hide your imperfections or whatnot, or being scared, oh no, what if it doesn't like my boobs, right? All that's out of your head, and you're thinking about how easy and free-flowing and amazing the sex is and the connection. You have to literally feel that. You can't just imagine what
mm-hmm.
it's going to be like. You have to feel what it's going to feel like when you're in that state. Okay, so
right.
It's like make-believe. It's like, you're a little kid, you pretend all this stuff, and, you feel really good. It's like that. You have to crank the emotions up, very, very important. Okay, so the one last thing you guys need to be aware of is that even if you perform all these steps correctly,
mm-hmm.
the major issue here, again, you're still fighting the power of your deep subconscious programming. Okay? So, again, it goes back to, just something as simple as you say an affirmation, and then you don't believe it. You're like, no, that's not true. And bam, it just gets knocked out. I mean, there's any doubt, if there's any, I don't deserve this, if there's any, there's no way this can work for me, I'm too far gone, it's been too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's any, well, this guy Jay sounds like an idiot, you know what I mean? He didn't go to Harvard, I can't listen to him, right? You're literally just knocking out all this stuff. So here's the thing, even if this stuff is total BS, and it's just all a placebo, well, guess what? Placebos work sometimes 50% as well as the actual medicine.
Mm.
So it comes down to your belief. If the belief is a positive one, if it's going to benefit you, if there's not going to be any negative effects from it, it makes sense to adopt it. Okay? So there's no point in being ridiculously skeptical if the skepticism is actually hurting you. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with skepticism, but if you can adopt a new belief, which may be helpful, and there's going to be no negative benefits to it, just adopt it. Just assume it is true. For you to say, okay, well, maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. Let me try it.
Right.
Let me see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very, very important. So I've actually been helping my female clients do this for years, and we use a lot of different psychological strategies. We hypnosis and EFT and all this different stuff to figure out where their negative beliefs are and what their issues are, and I teach them how to actually overcome them themselves by using these techniques. It's pretty incredible. However, coaching gets expensive. It takes time. There's a commitment there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was asking myself, well, how can I help people on a bigger scale? Get rid of some of these problems. And, it's difficult, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and, every person's different. And, of course, everyone has different issues and whatnot. But what I ended up doing was I created this product called Sexual Radiance, which is essentially a guided visualization tape. Like you said before, it's an MP3, which is designed to reprogram the unconscious mind and install all the patterns and all the ways of thinking and, the confidence and the sexual openness and just the inner radiance that every woman needs to really have the amazing relationship that they want. And like I said, every woman's different, but for the most part, these issues are pretty much universal. And the good news is, I know you said, well, I have way more than that sexual radiance. I don't need any more. Well, you can never have too much. And if you do have too much, well, guess what? I'm sure there's your body hit a saturation point, and you'll be okay. There's no negative side effects of having too much radiance, too much confidence. But well, actually, here's a benefit you might you might enjoy. My select group of testers who tested this out before I released it. Because there's actually a lot of exercises where you're actually visualizing, being with your perfect man, and really feeling the feelings and really opening up. And there's a lot of deep work going on a subconscious level that allows you to really just bypass your filters, bypass your fears, because again, you're all alone, you're laying down in your bed, you have your eyes closed, just you and your mind. And when you tap into some of this stuff, it's amazing what you're going to start feeling. And a lot of the girls who tested it actually, they pretty much told me that they had, more, what word can I say? Maybe climax is the proper word. They had a lot more of those, a lot easier than ever before, and they felt just really open and connected to their partners while it was all happening, and it just seemed very, very natural. And the reason for that is, one of the things is, again, you're opening up these different channels, these different pathways as you use the recording, and you're training your brain to go into these pathways with no resistance, with no fears and no blockages or whatnot. And also, you're doing actually a conditioning process. It's almost like working out, kind of, but for sex. Like you're working out your mental sexual muscle. Does that even make sense? But there's something like that going on. And when you do this over and over again, you're literally training your body to respond differently while you're actually having sex with a partner. So obviously, some women, they enjoy it so much they actually want to continue the experience alone after. But at the same time, if they listen to it every single day, it actually retrains the brain. Again, this is one of the side effects. I wish I didn't design it for that. It just kind of just happened like that. But yeah, so it's a really good side effect. Put it that way. It's there's no like blurry vision or vomiting or bad breath. None of those drug side effects. Only good side effects.
And
it's designed to literally put you in a state of mind where you literally become more confident, you become more open, and you starting to shed layers of, whatever negativity you had, all the negative programming, the shame, the guilt, poor body image, all that kind of stuff, the universal issues that most women have to deal with. Whereas, the goal over time is again, the reason why people have certain vibes is another very interesting concept, is it's not always what you're thinking at the time.
It's what you've been thinking.
For instance, like, let's say, you meet somebody for the first time, and they say, hey, how are you? You say, hey, how are you? And you get a vibe about them. Okay, the vibe isn't always based on what they're thinking at the moment. Maybe they just walk up to you and they say, oh, Lucia, she's really pretty. She seems nice. Oh, let me introduce myself. Like, that's what's going on in their head. But you still got a bad vibe about them.
Yes.
Okay, why is that? It's the beliefs that they have that are pumping out this vibe 24/7. It's not always the thought in the moment. So what my tape is designed to do is literally change your beliefs about yourself, your sexuality, your confidence, all these things over time. And it happens very quickly. The girls who tested it only tested it out for about between 7 and 10 days. And I got some of the testimonials up on the website. They're saying that they randomly being approached by guys, kind of like your lifestyle.
Yes.
Guys just run up and crash restaurants and crash their cars to try to come talk to you. And it's kind of like that. You just walk around, you just feel more confident, you feel lighter, you feel more sexually free. Kind of like after watching Sex and the City 2, and you leave the theater and you're kind of just like, you get that spring in your step, and you're just floating, and you're thinking about doing something, Samantha-esque that night. It's kind of like that. Wow. But it all happens on an unconscious level. And when your subconscious mind accepts the programming, everything in your life starts to change. You're going to notice it. You're literally going to notice men treating you differently. You're going to notice yourself feeling differently when you're with men in certain situations. You're going to notice yourself feeling more uninhibited in the bedroom. You're going to feel more in tune with your body. And you're going to feel more connected to your partner. Because one of the things the tape does, it trains you to learn how to put these thoughts out of your head, to relax your mind, and really focus on having that deep connection, to really connect on that energetic level. Now, most of them know when you really connect with a man, that's when the sex really starts to take off. That's when you can really start to feel these amazing feelings in your body. And when you feel a disconnect, you feel like you're just going through the motions, but there's no real like juice underneath it. And for a lot of women, that would, what makes it harder for them to, reach a climax and really have a good time. Because they feel like they're just, it's almost like you're well, I can't say that word, but you know what it is. Like you're just by yourself, touching yourself.
Mm-hmm. Masturbating.
You know what I mean?
You can say masturbating.
Yeah. Oh, God, I like this show.
This isn't a family show.
Yeah, it's like masturbating. and guys feel that too occasionally. You know what I mean? I'll be with a girl and I'm like, wow, I feel like I just kind of like masturbated inside her. Like there was no connection there. It wasn't like real sex. Okay, and guys can still enjoy that for the most part. But, most women, they really need that, that connection, especially if you're in a relationship, right? If you're in a relationship with a partner, you need to have that connection. And ultimately, I think most people want to continue to build on it. And that's one of the reasons why you want to have a relationship, right? So you can continuously build on the sexual connection to ultimately bring you to deeper levels of sex, intimacy, deeper levels of pleasure, just really, really opening yourself up and exploring all the, the different sensations that your body can give you. And let me tell you what, most people realize there's a major difference, I don't know if it's energetic or what, between masturbating and having sex with a real person.
Yeah.
There's just something different about it. You can masturbate all day long, but at the end of the day, you're still jonesing for a man. And then when you have a man, you might be good for a day or two. It's different. It's different. Even though women can obviously make themselves, feel incredible in 3 seconds, and most men are just fumbling around down there for a while, right? There's still something different. There's some kind of energy or something that happens, and it's the same way for guys too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And on top of that, there's a difference between just having sex with someone and having sex in a way where you're really, truly connected, and you have this loving bond underneath it, and it just takes it to a whole new level. Okay, so that's what sexual radiance is really designed to do. Not only is it designed to really help you unleash all this inside you and get to the point where you're just radiating this magnetism that, an Angelina Jolie would have, where, more guys just want to, come up to you, they just find you sexy just because, you didn't change your diet, your hair still looks the same, but men are noticing you. Why is that? Because your beliefs about yourself are changing. The energy inside you is starting to awaken, and you just can't help but radiate that. Okay, and I guarantee you, Lucia, you have, oh God, I called you Lucia first. I like Lucia for some reason.
Come on.
Oh, my God.
Shame
That's why we can never sleep together, because I would say that in bed, and I'm done. That's it. Gone.
I'd kick you out immediately.
Game over.
That's right.
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah, and just like all your exes, I wouldn't get a second chance. But, I as beautiful as you are, I'm sure you have days where you literally just run out, you throw on some sweatpants, you put your hair up, no makeup, no perfume. In your eyes, you probably think you look kind of crappy almost. And I guarantee you're still getting hit on.
Right.
On certain days, right or wrong. Absolutely. So it's not about having this amazing physical beauty. It's when you really believe that you're an amazing woman with a lot to offer, and it doesn't mean a damn thing that you're single or in a relationship. If you want to buy into, if you're not married, that means you suck. No, it's not true. It's all BS. And if you buy into it, it becomes true, right? Because you believe it now.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe it, it's not true. And you can believe the opposite, which is, it doesn't matter. I'm waiting. I'm picky. I'm going to wait for the right guy. The right guy hasn't come yet, but he better damn well get here soon before I pick somebody else who's out of luck. Right? And then you're radiating this amazing confidence and beauty, and you have so much to offer at any age, and no matter what your body type is, whether you're interested in the guy who's, older than you, or you want a young, cubby guy. It doesn't matter what you're into. As long as you realize that when you're with the guy that you want, you're going to give him an amazing experience, and he's going to be
very
lucky.
happy.
He's real lucky to be with you.
One happy
man.
And
when you get yourself believing that, that is when you start radiating this amazing energy. And then obviously the second part of that is once you attract that guy to rock his world.
And
right? And I think Lucia can help you guys with that. I don't know anything about that.
That's when you call me. So I feel like I've attended a seminar. And thank you.
You kind of have, so I guess I should probably send you a bill in the mail.
Thank you for making my job easier today. I hardly have to say anything.
Well, I didn't do that. Well, so I do it for your benefit. I mean, you yelled at me nonstop, I think, the last interview I had. So I figured, well, if I just talk nonstop this time, then she can't yell at me.
That's right. She can't get in. So the website is jcataldo.com, and then if you go under the products tab, of course, you'll find the Sexual Radiance MP3. And that's it. We're out of time, darling.
How did that happen? Why are we always out of time?
I know. It was so much fun.
But then I spent an hour getting the point. I build up my confidence. I'm just about to make a move on you, and then it's like, oh, we gotta go.
We gotta go.
Every time. It's ridiculous.
Well, maybe third time would be a charm. So.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to move to LA.
I know.
To get my shot.
That's right. You will.
You're not coming to New York at all, ever, really?
I don't know. At some point, I'm sure I have to be there.
Oh, that sounds like a maybe.
Yes,
that sounds promising.
That can be our first date.
Ooh, right, well, yeah, like I said, I'm getting older, and you better get out here fast.
Okay, I got to run. You got to run. So thank you so much for being on. Again, it's Sexual Radiance, and that's jcataldo.com.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, as usual. Take care.
Take care, sweetheart.
Bye. Bye. Okay, I really do have to get out of here. The show is over, but I'm sure you learned a lot. You're going to have to listen to this 5 times. And then, of course, go to the website and order the MP3. I listened to it. It was fantastic. Of course, like he said, I don't need any more confidence. I already have too much, maybe. So, okay, and my website is theartoflove.net, where you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter. I have a book at lessonsoflove.net, where you can read a free excerpt. Everything's free, right? And until next time, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.
You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.